Angela Robinson sat at her dining table in Peoria, Illinois, staring at the stack of bills that had somehow multiplied overnight. Her phone buzzed. Another text from her mother-in-law asking when they'd be upgrading to a lakefront property, like the Hendersons did. At 34 years old, with 2 kids and a nursing career she loved, Angela thought she had finally figured out money. She and her husband James made a decent income. They owned a beautiful 4-bedroom home. They took the kids to Disney last year, but lately, something felt wrong. Every family gathering turned into an interrogation. Why were they still driving a 5-year-old sedan when James's brother just leased a Mercedes? Why haven't they remodeled the kitchen yet? Didn't they care about giving their children the best? The comments came wrapped in concern, delivered with smiles over Sunday dinner. But they left Angela lying awake at 3 a.m, calculator in hand, wondering if she was failing her family. It started innocently enough. James's promotion came with a nice bump in salary, about $15,000 more annually. Suddenly, the family expectations shifted. His mother mentioned how professional it would look if they joined the country club. Angela's sister suggested they really should get that vacation home in Michigan, while properties are still affordable. The pressure is built like water behind a dam. Everyone else is doing it, James said one evening, scrolling through his brother's Instagram feed showing off their new boat. Maybe we're being too conservative. Angela felt the familiar knot in her stomach. Conservative? They were saving barely $1,000 a month. Their emergency fund sat at $37,000, decent but not enough to weather a real crisis. They had retirement accounts, yes, but nowhere near where the financial advisors said they should be at their age. Yet according to James's family, they were living like they were broke. The breaking point came on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. Angela was reviewing their mortgage statement when something caught her eye. She pulled out their tax returns, bank statements, and credit card bills from the past year. What she discovered made her heart sink. They'd spent over $25,000 last year just trying to keep up appearances, a necessary kitchen renovation because James's mother kept commenting on the outdated cabinets, designer clothes for the kids because Angela's sister posted pictures of her children in boutique outfits, premium upgrades on their cars because you can't show up to professional events in basic models, $25,000, gone. Money that could have padded to their emergency fund, money that could have gone into college savings, money that could have secured their actual future instead of maintaining an illusion for people who weren't paying their bills. She sat there as the rain drummed against the windows, feeling like she was seeing clearly for the first time in years. Angela started doing what she did best, research. She began with their own finances, creating a detailed spreadsheet that tracked every dollar they earned and spent. The numbers told a story she hadn't wanted to face. Then she looked deeper into the family members who'd been pressuring them. James's brother with the Mercedes, leased, not owned, payments of $800 a month for a car he'd never actually owned. His mother's country club friends? Many were drowning in debt, maintaining memberships they couldn't afford because that's where business happens. The Hendersons with the lakefront property? Angela discovered through casual conversation with Mrs. Henderson at the grocery store that they'd taken out a home equity line of credit to afford the down payment. They were now juggling 2 mortgages and worried sick about making both payments. The vacation home her sister kept pushing, financed with credit cards at 22% interest. Everyone looked successful on the outside. Everyone was bleeding money behind closed doors. That weekend, Angela sat down with James, not to accuse, but to share what she'd learned. She showed him the numbers, their numbers, honest and raw. "We make good money," she said quietly, "but we've been spending like we make great money. There's a difference." James was defensive at first. "My family just wants us to succeed." "Your family wants us to look successful," Angela corrected gently. "That's not the same thing as actually being successful." She pulled out another document, a calculation of what their finances could look like in 5 years if they stopped trying to impress people and started building real wealth. More retirement savings, fully funded college accounts, a true 6-month emergency fund, maybe even the ability to help their kids avoid student loans entirely, or they could keep buying things they didn't need with money they didn't have to impress people, who weren't paying attention to anything except their own financial anxiety. James stared at the projections for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice cracked. "I just wanted them to be proud of us." "I know," Angela whispered, "but we need to be proud of ourselves first." The next family dinner was different. When James's mother started her usual commentary about their modest lifestyle choices, Angela spoke up. "We're actually very comfortable with our choices," she said calmly. "We're prioritizing long-term security over short-term appearances." The table went quiet. Angela continued, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "James and I sat down and really looked at our finances. We make good money and we're grateful, but we realize we've been spending to keep up with standards that weren't serving our actual goals. We're choosing differently now." Her mother-in-law's face flushed. "Well, I just thought—" "You thought you were helping," Angela said gently. "And maybe you were trying to. But what helps us most is supporting the decisions we make for our own family's financial future." James reached under the table and squeezed Angela's hand. "Mom, we love you. But Angela's right. We need to live within our actual means, not within your expectations." The months that followed weren't easy. Family gatherings felt awkward at first. Some relatives stopped inviting them to expensive outings. Angela's sister made passive-aggressive comments about them becoming cheap. But something beautiful happened. The constant anxiety that had been Angela's companion for years began to fade. She slept better. She stopped checking their bank balance multiple times a day with a sense of dread. They canceled the country club membership they'd just purchased. They traded James's leased luxury car for a reliable, certified pre-owned sedan. They said no to the vacation home pressure and instead took a modest camping trip that cost a fraction of what they used to spend, trying to impress others. And they started saving. Really saving. $1,000 became $2,000 a month. Their emergency funds grew. Their retirement contributions increased. They opened 529 accounts for both kids and began funding them consistently. 6 months in, Angela looked at their financial picture and felt something she hadn't experienced in years: peace. What surprised Angela most was how their honesty affected others. 3 months after their family dinner declaration, James's younger cousin called. She was 26 and already $30,000 in debt, trying to maintain an image on social media. "I saw how you guys changed," she said quietly. "How you just stopped caring what everyone thought. I need help. I'm drowning." Angela spent 2 hours on the phone with her, sharing what they'd learned, helping her create a realistic budget, and encouraging her to face the numbers honestly. 2 weeks later, one of Angela's nursing colleagues confessed she and her husband were struggling despite both having good jobs. The pressure to keep up with their suburban neighborhood was crushing them. "How did you break free?" she asked Angela during a lunch break. Angela realized their decision to live authentically wasn't just changing their own lives. It was giving others permission to do the same. By the end of the year, Angela had learned several crucial truths. First, financial peace doesn't come from having more money. It comes from aligning your spending with your values instead of other people's expectations. Second, the people pressuring you to spend more are often the ones most anxious about their own finances. Hurt people, and financially stressed people create financial stress in others. Third, true wealth isn't about what you can buy today. It's about what you can build for tomorrow: security, options, freedom from anxiety. Fourth, saying no to family. Pressure is one of the hardest and most important financial decisions you'll ever make. And finally, living within your means isn't about deprivation. It's about choosing your own priorities instead of letting others choose them for you. Today, Angela and James have a financial picture that looks different from their relatives' lives, but feels infinitely more secure. They have nearly 6 months of expenses saved. They're on track to retire comfortably. Their kids' college funds grow steadily. They still hear comments at family gatherings. James's brother recently asked if they were doing okay financially because they haven't renovated in years. Angela just smiled. "We're doing great," she said honestly. "Better than we've ever been." Because great isn't measured in granite countertops or luxury car leases. Great is measured in peaceful sleep, in options instead of obligations, in building rather than borrowing. Their home isn't the showcase property the family expected, but it's paid down aggressively, and they'll own it outright years before their peers. Their cars aren't impressive, but they're reliable. And the money not going to car payments goes to investments instead. Their vacations aren't Instagram-worthy luxury resorts, but they're together, they're present, and they're not coming home to credit card bills that take months to pay off. What Angela learned through this journey runs deeper than just numbers on a spreadsheet. She learned that family dynamics around money are complicated, painful, and often rooted in each person's own financial anxiety and insecurity. She learned that standing firm in your financial convictions feels lonely at first, but eventually becomes liberating. She learned that real wealth whispers, while fake wealth shouts, and she'd rather have the former. Most importantly, she learned that financial decisions are deeply personal. What works for James's brother doesn't work for them. What impresses her sister doesn't align with their goals. And that's not just okay, it's essential. Your financial life should reflect your values, your dreams, your actual situation, not someone else's aspirations or insecurities projected onto you. If Angela could sit down with you today over coffee, here's what she'd tell you. Look at your actual numbers, not what you think they are, not what you wish they were, the real numbers. Track every dollar for 1 month. You'll be shocked at where your money actually goes. Question every expense that's motivated by someone else's opinion. The renovation because your mother commented, the car because your colleague drives something nicer, the clothes because your friends wear designer labels. Strip away the external pressure and ask, do I actually want this, or am I just trying to avoid criticism? Remember that the people pressuring you to spend rarely know your full financial picture. They don't know about your student loans, your medical bills, your real income versus what they assume you make. They're judging your choices through the lens of their own situation, which is probably different from yours. Build your emergency fund before you build your image. 6 months of expenses will buy you peace of mind that no luxury purchase ever will. And finally, give yourself permission to disappoint people. Your mother-in-law will survive if you don't join the country club. Your sister will get over your modest vacations. Your colleagues will move on to judging someone else's car. But you'll have security, options, and the freedom that comes from living within your actual means. Angela still gets texts from family members suggesting she and James are being too cautious or not enjoying life. She reads them, smiles, and deletes them. Because she is enjoying life. Differently than they think she should, but more deeply than she ever did when she was stressed about money. She enjoys sleeping through the night without anxiety. She enjoys making financial decisions based on her family's needs, not her relatives' expectations. She enjoys watching their savings grow month after month, knowing they're building something real. The Robinson family's journey from financial pretense to financial peace wasn't dramatic. There were no lottery winnings, no sudden inheritance, just honest assessment, difficult conversations, and the courage to live differently than those around them expected. And in that quiet courage, they found something most people spend their whole lives searching for: financial freedom that has nothing to do with how much money you make and everything to do with aligning your spending with your actual values. So here's my question for you. Are you living according to your own financial values or someone else's expectations? Have you ever felt pressure from family members to spend money you don't have on things you don't need? How did you handle it? Did you give in, or did you find the courage to stand firm? Maybe you're in the middle of this struggle right now, caught between wanting to please your family and knowing you need to protect your financial future. I want to hear your story. Drop a comment below sharing your experience with family financial pressure. What worked? What didn't? What do you wish you'd done differently? And if this story resonated with you, if it gave you permission to question the financial expectations others have placed on you, then subscribe to this channel. We share real stories about real people navigating the complex world of money, business, and life. Because your financial journey is yours alone. And it's time to stop letting other people write your story. Remember, wealthy whispers. Security is silent, and the most successful people you'll ever meet are often the ones who stopped trying to look successful and started building something real instead. Take care of your money. Take care of yourself, and take care to choose your own path, regardless of who's watching.